Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Craig Borba.
Here, remotely.
Here. Al Jones. David Norgard.
Present.
Deborah Schwartz. Present.
Since I'm in a remote situation now, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Juanita. I think the meeting will run much more successfully with being handled on site. So Juanita, would you please take over the chairmanship for now?
Of course, thank you very much. Okay, I need the acceptance of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And do we have any public comment today?
We have to take a vote on the acceptance of the agenda.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 One other question, because I'm remote, it has to be a roll call. Sorry.
That's right. I apologize. I forgot that because you're remote. All right, Craig Borba,
Yes.
Juanita Gardner,
Yes.
Al Jones, David Norgard,
Yes.
Deborah Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so no public comment today. We're gonna move on to item 4, consent agenda. And do we need to have a roll call for that?
So yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll move for the acceptance of that.
Do we have a motion?
Yes.
Second.
All right, Craig Borba,
Yes.
Juanita Gardner,
Yes.
Al Jones, David Norgard,
Yes.
Deborah Schwartz.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, which is administrative reports. And will we have a report from Friends of the Palm Springs Library?
Yes, I will give that report. In March, the Friends had their annual book sale, which occurred on March 1st through the 3rd. It resulted in sales of $4,257.25, which includes 38 memberships, new and renewals, that were purchased at the door. So that's a combination of memberships and book sales. So approximately 3,000 in book sales for the weekend. Palm Springs Speaks concluded its 5th season with Billy D. Williams on Thursday, March 7th. The event was well attended and it included an appearance by the 501st Legion, a well-known Star Wars fan organization, escorting Mr. Williams into the theater. It was very entertaining. The interview with Manny, the movie guy, was also very fun. We learned lots of things. Anyway, the Friends have not received the final report yet since the season just concluded, but will soon. And discussions are in the works for season 6, but no speakers have yet been confirmed. And then finally, their annual meeting is scheduled for Sunday, April 26th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the main library. Jeannie Kays, the library director, will be the guest speaker and will give an update on the renovation. There will be boards throughout the library to look at and discuss, and a fun poker run game will be taking place at the event as well. There will also be a selection of baskets available through purchase of raffle tickets and refreshments. Members are free to attend and anyone is encouraged to attend. Memberships start at only $20 and the Friends would to have as many of the library board of trustees to attend as possible.
Wait, Julie, what was that date?
It is Sunday, April 26th from 2 to 4. And that concludes the report for the Friends. Any other questions?
That's the annual meeting you're speaking of.
It is.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
The Friends.
Right.
Yes. Okay,
Sunday the 26th.
thank you.
Okay, and now item 4B, Palm Springs Public Library Foundation.
Hello, Peter Pearson here, Interim Director, Executive Director of the Palm Springs Public Library Foundation. I'll be giving our administrative report today. Thanks for your attention to this. First of all, I wanted to report that the public awareness campaign that the trustees have funded has been really successful. We're getting lots of great feedback. We've had ads in all kinds of media for the last couple of months. We heard many people who saw our ads during the Academy Awards several times, which was wonderful coverage. They've been in Palm Springs Life, Desert Entertainer, KMIR, KESQ, Spectrum News, Alpha Media, Marker Broadcasting, and KGAY. We're going to continue this level of awareness through May. And then we have meetings set with the Kyle and Company, who is coordinating the campaign for us, to determine what type of continuation we want for the summer months, knowing that many of our folks are gone during that time. So we will get back to you next month with more of a financial update on the funds spent and what's remaining and how we plan to move forward. But we at the foundation really want to thank the trustees for this generous grant. It's really made a huge difference. Our website has received so much more attention from individuals wanting to be on our email list, wanting to get updates on the library's renovation. So it's definitely working, and we want to thank all of you for making that possible. In addition,
Peter, I have a question.
sure.
I observed the media blitz. It was wonderful. I can't believe how many plugs we received during the Academy Award movies. But did this generate any donations, cash donations or commitments?
You know, actually it did. And the purpose of these ads was not to ask for donations. But as always happens, when someone contacts us through our website, we did get several contributions from it. So, but we intend to launch a pretty major fundraising campaign here in the next few months, as you know, to raise $1 million. And that would, be based more on individual solicitations from a steering committee at the foundation with some individuals in the community. But yes, we actually received some unsolicited donations as a result of this.
Great.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, and another update I wanted to give you that we've also done a lot of work on our finances at the foundation. We've now completely migrated into QuickBooks, and we're also instituting an online bill paying program. We've contracted with an accountant who will be doing our work on a monthly basis to do financial reporting for the foundation. So we're really making big strides when it comes to our finances, our transparency, being able to report to a variety of constituents about the finances of the foundation. We were at one PS picnic last week, and with the library and the Friends. So it was a great turnout. We were very excited. We got 80 new individuals who wanted to sign up with their email addresses to keep notified of foundation activities. So we were pleased with that. And then we're also happy to say that foundation board members attended each of the public input sessions that Jeannie conducted. And we were happy to be there. Jeannie introduced the board members when they were present. So that's pretty much it for the foundation's administrative update. Any questions you'd have, I'd be happy to answer for you.
Does anyone have any questions? No, thank you very much for that report, Peter. And now we need a report from library staff, please.
Okay, thank you. So as Peter mentioned, March was a busy month for us. We had several community input sessions. This is round 2. As you recall, we had round 1 in the fall and last October. And so this is round 2. And so we had several of them. So I'm just going to list them off. So on March 21st, we were at DeMuth Community Center, and that was introduced by the mayor. So we had a good turnout. People kind of came in throughout the evening. It wasn't so much of a presentation as it was people in and out of the room and giving us feedback. Then on the 22nd, we were at James O. Jesse Desert Highland Unity Center. And then, as Peter mentioned, we were all at one PS neighborhood picnic on Saturday, the 23rd of March. And then we did conduct a pop-up engagement during the lunch service at Mizell on March 26th. And then we had community input at the Family Fun Fest, which was on Wednesday, March 27th. And then that same evening at the main library in the evening, we had a presentation by Group 4 architect David Schnee, and Mayor Pro Tem DeHart was there and introduced. And then I forgot to mention that Councilmember Garner was at James O. Jesse as well. So we are pleased with the turnout. We still do have one more session with students from the Palm Springs Boys and Girls Club. And that's been scheduled the week of April 13th. And then we have our online community survey still available for everyone to please contribute and tell us what you want and give us your input. And that is available through April 12th online. You can access the link to our survey, which is available both in English and in Spanish. from the library's webpage at palmspringslibrary.org, or you could go to Engage Palm Springs and the link is for a survey as well. Everyone's welcome to complete the survey. And then if you don't have access to a computer, we have paper copies available at the main library, at the Wellwood Library downtown, as well as City Hall, Duluth Community Center, Parks and Recreation Leisure Center, and the James LaJesse Desert Highland Unity Center. And again, those are both available in English and Spanish paper copies. So we just want to hear from everyone. You have until April 12th, so please give us your input as we continue on this journey of the library renovation. I'll move on now. So we had our 11th annual Family Fun Fest on Wednesday, March 27th, and that was at the Palm Springs Stadium outside. We had 32 different organizations and businesses that participated and that had a booth. And this is a free community event we do every year during the spring break of the Palm Springs Unified School District. And we had a really great turnout. Every booth has an activity, a game, or a craft for the kids to do. And there's always so much fun. The library's booth had a fishing game, face painter. We gave away free books and information about summer reading. And we also had Rusty the stilt walker and juggler to entertain everyone. So he was super popular. Attendees received a card that they went around and to each booth and had checked off. And then as they exited, they returned those cards to be entered to win a prize. And we were able to have 3 winners and 3 prizes that were chosen at random, and we had 449 people attend the Family Fun Fest. The other things that were available during the event was that Livestream had a blood drive during the festival, and they reported that they had 10 people registered to donate blood, and they received 9 pints were collected, and 7 were first-time donors, and the blood donated will benefit 27 people, so that was pretty fabulous. And then the Riverside County Public Health team was there and with free vaccines, and they gave out 2 flu shots and 1 Mpox vaccine, so we were happy to have them there as well. So that was fabulous. And then programming continues through mid-May. We have lots of great programs coming and popular series, including our partnership with Oswald Land Trust for their Sustainable and Wild lecture series. We also did a 3-part series with ModCom that was, totally full. We had to unfortunately turn people away. Same with at the Oswald Land lectures, we have to turn people away because they're also popular. And our monthly meditation and mindfulness talks have been super popular. And so things are winding to an end, though. As I said, all programming regular programming will conclude mid-May. And then we are gearing up for summer reading. The theme is Read, Renew, Repeat, and that begins on June 10th. And so all the programs are planned, and we're just doing finishing touches on that to get that going. And finally, the library applied for and received a grant from StarNet for 500 pairs of Eclipse glasses to be given out with a program. So we've been having programs at the library related to the upcoming eclipse, which will happen on April 8th, which is Monday. And so after our last program tomorrow, any glasses that we have available that we didn't give out at a program, we will post on social media that they're available and people can come pick them up through the weekend to have for Monday. So in our area, just a few facts, we'll see about 53% of the eclipse here. And we'll start to see that happen just a little after 10 a.m. on Monday. And the prime event will be between 11 and 11:15 here. And then we'll conclude a little after noon. So if you're looking to see the eclipse, you should have a pretty good view. And 53% is not too bad. So it's quite something to see. So that's all I have to report. If you have any questions, please let me know.
I have some questions regarding the Family Day. What are the costs for that, and who picks the costs up?
So that is a library program that we host, and the costs are really for the materials that are in our booth. We are able to use the Palm Springs Stadium without a charge, and then we invite all the organizations to participate. But they have to provide their own booth materials. We just provide the space and the activities. We do promote it. So we do some advertising, some print, and then we do some radio advertising, but we also have a partnership with Alpha Media, and they broadcast live from the event for the day. So that helps us out. And then all the organizations that participate also help promote it through their mailing lists and e-newsletters and things like that. So the costs to do it are fairly minimal for the library, but the library is the one that presents and hosts it every year.
Thank you.
I have a question too. Have the comments been compiled or curated that you've gotten?
From the community input
Oh,
meetings.
sorry, I beat you to it.
Well,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just concluded last Wednesday, and so we're in the process of doing that, and because the survey's open till the 12th, we're,
Yeah,
we're working on compiling everything. But that will happen very soon, and I know, that information will be, presented and summarized to the city council. I think that right now it's tentatively for later in April. But, we don't have any of that information yet. It's in process.
Thanks.
I have one other question.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of when, do you know at this point when regular programming, so to speak, will resume in the fall?
Yeah, so, kids and teen programs resume the second week of August. They give the kids a chance to go back to school, and then they restart their programs, and then adult programs usually wait and start later in September. And our goal is to continue programming through the fall, although we don't have any dates yet on when we'll have to, vacate the library for renovation, but we're assuming it's gonna be in the new year. So right now, our plan is to plan through the fall, but we are, working on plans, for, using either our temporary location, whatever that may be, and if there isn't meeting space, I've already begun meeting with different community organizations to have a show on the road and bring programming out into the community using other spaces in the community. So there's going to be programming, we're going to continue to do that no matter what our situation.
Thanks, Joe.
Wonderful. And I was also at the James O. Jesse Community Input Meeting. And it started out very slowly, I have to tell you, but then all the parents started coming by to pick up their kids from their homework program. And so I stood at the door and grabbed every one of them and made them go in there. No, they were very willing to do it once they knew what it was all about. And so it was really nice that we were able to get all those parents and their kids to come in and participate in that. So that was really great. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to item 6, treasurer's report. Val, you got here just in time.
I did indeed. I did email Craig and Jeannie, not knowing that. Craig, did you get my text?
Oh, I didn't, I checked my text. I didn't receive a text from you, but did you email it or text me?
I texted, oh, no, anyway, I wanted to let you know I was gonna be 10 minutes late, which I was.
Okay,
My apologies. For the treasurer's report, I had it right here. Really, it's a minor change. There we go. Minor change from the report in February. I mean, it's what am I talking about? February, and this is April. Okay, so that was in March. Oh, keeping straight, I can't believe it's April already.
I know.
It's just going too quickly. But nothing changed. I mean, we're down to 1.687. The difference is 122,000 from the March report. So there's nothing major in there unless you know of something. I could not find anything, right? So that's it.
All right, so do we have an acceptance of the treasurer's report?
So we need a motion to accept the treasurer's, oops, sorry, we need a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Do I have one?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Craig Borba,
Oh, we have to take a vote
Yes.
on it?
Yeah, roll call.
roll call, yes.
Oh, roll call.
Craig Borba.
yes,
Juanita Gardner,
Yes.
Al Jones.
Yes.
David Norgard.
Yes.
Deborah Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you.
When I rush like this, I'm a little discombobulated. I don't like being late to things.
It happens.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to item 7, and this is, Library Foundation request for a $225,000 grant to support the 3-year contract for the foundation executive director. And so who's going to speak on that? Both of you? Okay, great.
Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, good evening and thank you for having us. Thank you for your past support. We are grateful and I just wanna, I know we say thank you every time, but focus on the end goal is the new library and the people that are gonna benefit from that are the people of Palm Springs, and we're grateful for your support. Obviously, we couldn't do it without you. So moving along with our strategic plan, the next step for us is to hire a permanent part-time employee. as you know, Peter, it was hired on a 90-day contract, which is gonna end at the end of this month. We sent you the request and now Bill is going to go through the request for $225,000 for a part-time executive director.
And thanks, I echo what David is saying, and we've had very good experience with Peter Pearson, and it's not just because Peter's on the Zoom call. But basically it validates that having an executive director galvanizes a lot of things that we're doing. Energy captures our energy, gets us better organized, directs us, helps us with recruiting. I mean, you go through the gamut of things, and I know Al's been a consistent attendee at our meetings, and he can see, I think, the growth of the organization. And truly, it is an organization that we had to form and be able to do our job correctly. We had to make it as good of an organization, as well organized as we can. So as David said, the next step is to see if we can get a really good person to become a permanent part-time person, and, you know, stay within the bounds of reasonable costs and so on, and then give us direction and some support, especially in the fundraising area. And Peter has been very instrumental in getting our moving us forward, getting our house in order. I think you saw some of the things on the financial system and those kinds of things. And so we want to maintain that, and while we maintain that and the energy that has been created in our committees, then especially through that awareness campaign, we want to keep going forward. So that's sort of the background. In Roman numeral 1 on the page is really keep us going. And then Roman numeral 2, as I mentioned, we've had really good experience with Peter's participation across the board with all of our committees, and every single committee has made significant progress, I would say, David.
Absolutely.
So we think, again, we're gonna go forward. We may use the services of an executive search firm. That would be on our dime. We have money set aside for that in the budget, and we're just gonna have to see what kind of take up we get with some other methods that we're gonna do for outreach and so on. And we had one candidate already that we have, so we're gonna circle back with that person and then see how we can generate additional candidates. We put together the executive job description in Roman numeral 3, and the person on that sort of walks on water, you know, and does everything. But again, the emphasis, I think you all know what we're looking for, and can kind of go through that job description and see which ones we want to highlight, where we need more help and less help. The budgeted salary in number 4, Peter Pearson's been around a long time with a lot of different library foundations, and his input's very valuable in this area. So full-timers get about $150,000, and then the benefits are there if they're hired, you know, full-time as an employee, or whether they're a contracted person. So if we're going for 20 hours a week, which we are, and we're not going to give benefits, so then we should offer $75,000 a year for the person, or commit to $75,000 a year for the person. And we expect that we're going to go aggressively with this person to use the matching funds that you've allocated from last month's meeting, generate that $2 million, and then go forward with the next campaign as we track the developments and that the architects make, that you make, and that the city council allows for. So we'll just be rolling forward with new fundraising targets. I think the other thing that's important is we are forming up a steering committee to do some more private type of fundraising outreach. This executive director is gonna help us with that, as well as continuing some of the public awareness and fundraising, and emphasize more donations this time on the public side. So we would expect that we would maintain our efficiency of the organization and continue to enhance that. We would expect that we would achieve our fundraising goal and allow us to continue to set goals and meet those goals. And I think having the continuity of an executive director helps us create the kind of continuity that we need for that kind of a multi-year approach. So on number 6, grant request, we're asking for 3 years. That would be very generous of you, and we would appreciate it very much. I think the reasons we're putting down here are pretty good. I think the second bullet point there is maybe a good starting point. If we think about the fact that March of 26 is the date for completion on the infrastructure grants, or the grants from the state and the city that would contribute to the build out and the improvement of the infrastructure. And then you think about the next year after that as maybe having some gaps to fill, and or the opportunity to set up an endowment through the relationships we would build for the first 2 years. It would be really good and helpful to us if we had that person for that 3rd year. And then being able to go out to candidates and say, yeah, we got a commitment from our library trustees for 3 years. I think that gets us a better candidate pool, frankly, than if we were going year to year. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's sort of the way that we're viewing things anyway on our side. The other thing is that if we have to have this executive director, so we have to figure out a way to get the money. So if we have to raise the money for this person, less of that goes to the library. So if you raise, $1 million, you might have to raise $1,250,000 or something like that, because you have to cover your administrative expenses. So that really helps us funnel more of the donated money directly into the library needs. We also have and the last bullet point, this is an FYI for you. So we have this, we have an accountant, we have an attorney, we have a financial advisor. We now have an accounting systems person. We have a bill paying system. We're gonna hire someone to help us manage our donor database. So we have now this administrative core that we can add this executive director to. And I think that's gonna give us a lot of stability, and we'll be able to move and spend a lot more focus on fundraising, a lot more focus on communications. And so it will be an enabling opportunity for us, should you approve the grant. And I want to thank you for your consideration of this. You've always listened really well. And it's always been a pleasure working with this group, and we're moving forward together. So thank you very much. Do you have any questions for David, me, or Peter?
Does anyone have any questions?
Surprisingly, I have some questions.
Shocking.
Okay, so David or Bill, whoever wants to handle this, I think going with the director is very important, and it's extremely important we get the right person. I was concerned about going for 3 years. I was thinking we'd go for 2 years, and then you'd come back maybe the middle of the 2nd year to ask for 3rd year funding. I'd feel fiscally better about that. The other thing is, in California, I'm not sure how you're going to get around not paying benefits if the person is going to be 50%. So hopefully you can give me some information on that, because benefits will probably be an increase of possibly 1/3 more if you're looking at medical and you're looking at all the other things involved in that. So that's one concern. And who's going to evaluate this person? I've been in a situation in my career of hiring a lot of people, and thankfully, most of the times were hits, but there were sometimes that was a miss. And so who's going to evaluate it? Is it going to be the foundation's executive board? Or is it going to be the whole foundation? Or is it going to be just the officers? I'd like to know how that's going to be done and what's going to be the schedule for those evaluations. And what are you going to evaluate them on? If the person is extremely successful in raising a lot of funds, I would say that's obviously a plus, but the reverse is also a negative. So if the person can't generate any funds and we're paying out this money, I don't want the trustees to be in that situation. The other thing is, do you already have a contract that you've already made up that we could view that you're going to have this person sign? I'd like to see that. And then what is going to be your separation procedures with this individual? There could be a great individual that you hire and he's going to be there maybe a year or two and they get something better and he leaves. So how's that separation going to look? Or it could be the opposite. You could have somebody that you're going to give a contract to you're not excited about. What is going to be your procedures for separation? So I turn it over to you.
I happen to have answers to all those questions. Craig, those are good questions. Let me think about what they were. In terms of benefits, this would be a part-time, I don't even want to call it a position because they won't be an employee of the foundation. They will be a contract person.
1099.
Yeah, so,
I don't think you need that.
yeah, so even, they're not gonna be our employee. They're gonna work for us under a contract basis. So we won't, I don't believe we're gonna have to pay benefits.
I don't think you do.
We're
Okay,
not-
so I think everybody needs to be clear that you're going to use the word, not use the word employee.
Absolutely.
Because once that happens, then I think we're going to have an increase in costs.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it'd be nice if you could check it out with an HR person just to make sure that you can contract for this type of thing and not have to do that. But if it's contracted services, you don't. But sometimes the state of California defines somebody as a employee and you think you've contracted with them.
Okay, okay. In terms of the contract, we do have a contract in place with Peter that our attorney has reviewed and did they draw it up completely? Okay, so we're pretty confident that it's legal.
Peter, what do you think about that?
Well, let me tell you, I've done contractual work for many libraries and many library foundations, and I've never encountered one that was this legal. Just had every single possible detail covered. I was quite impressed.
Okay.
We knew you were gonna ask, Greg.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think the idea there is, to, based on your questions, which are excellent, especially this evaluation method and the way that we would separate, them from us and when, if they were to leave us. So I think obviously it bears going back to the attorney and telling them this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do 2 years or 3 years or 2 years with an option for a third year or something like that. Does this have you want to change anything in this? And then secondly, would we want to beef up or have greater insight into the separation? Because right now it's, for Peter, it's just a 30-day notice, either party. And that might be a little dicey. We would want the 30 days, but we would want them to do 90 days. I mean, obviously, or maybe not. Right? We certainly will do that to make sure that we have an agreement that more accurately or most accurately reflects the position that we have with this person. It's good. These are good points.
And in terms of the timeline, we don't have a timeline yet because everything kind of hinges on what happens here tonight. And my thought is that the executive committee and Peter will do the interviewing and then we'll present the candidates to the board for like a final say so when we're done.
And the one answer I would give to you in terms of who this person reports to. In most situations, the executive director of a library foundation typically reports to the executive committee, not the full board. And the executive committee sets up goals for the individual for the year. They review those at the end of the year, do a performance evaluation, and then move forward with recommendation for either a salary increase or part ways, whatever it may be.
And Peter, that's the way I'm most familiar with in my experiences.
Yeah.
Al, you have a question?
I did have a question, thank you. Is Peter going to be a candidate for this position then?
We don't know.
I mean, it's just a question, because you said he would be on the selection committee. I thought you said, so if he's on the selection committee, then it would rule out his,
If he's not a candidate, he would.
If he's-
Yeah,
right,
Yeah.
if he's not.
yeah, I mean,
If
to
I'm a
be totally,
candidate, clearly not. And, you know, my sense is that you'd probably want to be hiring somebody local. So
Okay.
it's unlikely that I'd be the permanent candidate here. But as I've said to the board and the executive committee, I'll stick around for as long as you need me. I don't want this to be a difficult transition. So if it takes 6 months, if it takes a year, whatever it might take, I'm here to continue to do my job.
And the other
Well,
question,
remember, Peter, Palm Springs is not humid.
okay,
we are begging him to come move here, but.
I know. Yeah, there's only a few really horribly humid months in Florida, but they're pretty bad.
so now I'm trying to think of the other question that just went up in my mind. Hang on, give me 1 second. What was I gonna ask you? Oh, gosh, relative to that. Oh, in terms of, how do you go about finding candidates to apply for the position? This is my question.
That is a really good question. We're gonna, to find Peter, we did do, we posted on like 75 websites. But we think we're gonna have to use a headhunter.
Okay,
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, just a suggestion for when you're looking, I would contact the Regional Access Project, which is known as RAP. They service 100, well over 100 nonprofits in the Coachella Valley. And they may be a place that somebody in the nonprofit area that's a director might be interested in this position. But it's a local organization and they're providing services to nonprofits. And really the foundation should probably also become a member of NPOC, which is, it's NOPOC, which is an organization under RAP that provides in-services to nonprofits and to nonprofit boards on how to conduct and be more successful.
Oh, great. Thank you.
what was the
sounds
name
good.
of them? Did you catch the name?
It's-
NOPOC.
RAP is the head organization, Regional Access Project, RAP. It's housed in Palm Desert. And it's a wonderful organization.
Craig, who is head of that? I'm sorry.
Letitia Delara is our director. I am on the executive board with RAP.
Okay,
And
is it RAP or
RAP, Regional Access Project, RAP.
Okay.
We give
Access.
away, and the foundation, you can kind of hide this in your pocket a little bit. We give away over $1.5 million a year to nonprofit organizations in the Coachella Valley.
How do they apply for that money?
Through grants, we offer, is this for you, Al? No.
Al, do you want to be on our board?
Also, in the 3 other boards that I chair, that I.
Okay. And we direct our money to health, mental health, and juvenile intervention.
Say that one more time.
So-
You're coming across kind of.
I'm sorry. The 3 areas of funding that we send money to is health, mental health, and juvenile intervention. So
Okay.
I'm thinking in my mind that some of the things the library does, such as the teen program and the children's program, could be considered juvenile intervention.
Yeah.
So, but
That's
something coming from the foundation might keep that in your back pocket, David.
And we also joined the Association of Fundraising Professionals, the Desert chapter, so.
Oh, good.
Could be a source for us. because those are, the members there are usually people from the biz that are interested in, maybe a new position or are part-time and could supplement.
That's good.
David, I just have another question. It's not related to this topic specifically, but the naming rights, have you made some decisions on that to be dispersed?
Not yet, not yet.
Oh, okay, thank you.
What, Craig, what specifically are you looking for guidance on?
On the naming rights, I'm looking for dollar amounts that's matched to different structures, whether it be chairs, bookcases, all those types of things, or rooms, so that we can get that information out there if we're able to talk to certain people saying, hey, here's an opportunity.
It's in the works and it's coming soon.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
I would like to make a motion if we're at that point.
We have another question.
Okay,
We have
so
another question.
Yeah, I actually have several,
okay,
which are of a different vein than Craig, so I don't think I'll be repetitive, but I'd appreciate your indulgence on this. Thank you, Juanita. And let me just say at the outset of this interrogation that
Like the way that sounds.
in principle, I very much favor and support the proposal. My questions revolve mainly around the nature of the work, specifically the fundraising that's described here and there throughout the proposal itself and the job description. So if I may, let me start with section 3 of the proposal. In the last line, it mentions the permanent ED should be on board with the beginning of the capital campaign. My experience and knowledge with capital campaigns is that there are several phases, beginning with the planning phase. That's very significant. Otherwise, without proper planning, you can fall flat. Is it your intention to have this new person in place for the planning phase of the capital campaign?
Well, I think Peter can answer a little of this too, but we're already starting to do the planning. I mean, we've got a steering committee that we're forming up. And they should be, you know, it's better that they come on board earlier rather than later, David, for that particular reason.
Right.
But there's no reason why we can't do brainstorming and some of these naming rights issues. What do we need from the architect for renderings? What do we need from the communications, from the PR firm to support the fundraising? Where are we gonna go? And so on. And so some of these things are, you know, how do you address the business community? How do you know, and other organizations? Peter, if you got any other comment to that question that David had?
Well, I agree with you that the planning has already begun. We've already spoken to 5 or 6 individuals who we'd like to have on a steering committee for this campaign. So we felt that it was important to start identifying the leadership that would be out there doing the solicitations. So I think there's a lot we can do before the new permanent ED is in place without jeopardizing their involvement in the campaign. So my guess is what we would be doing prior to bringing this new person on is getting the steering committee finalized. We've got a few more people to recruit. And then the other thing we'd want to do is to create what's called a case statement, which is a really important part of this campaign that would describe why we're doing this, what the community is going to gain from the additional $1 million that we raise, matched by your $1 million. Those 2 pieces will very likely be set in place before the new ED is hired. And I don't think he or she will be losing any ground by not having been a part of those 2 pieces. I think they'd appreciate being able to walk in with kind of the stage set, ready to really hit the road running to do the solicitations.
Yeah, I'm very glad to hear you both say what you did, because my concern was that you were thinking perhaps the opposite. Or maybe not the opposite, but not timing it in the way you're describing. It seems important to me that planning already be in process,
Yeah.
right? And the new ED come along as soon as he or she can, so. Okay, that's number one. There's 6 here, bear with me. Section 4, budgeted salary, 75 a year, 3 years. Are you allowing for the possibility of some negotiation? You find a crackerjack person that you really want, and the person wants 80 rather than 75 or some such?
That's clearly possible. The foundation has some of its own funds that we can add toward that salary if we find that individual that we think needs to have 80,000 instead of 75.
So the foundation has the money for that.
Right.
Okay, okay.
You've given you some money.
A couple bucks.
You haven't spent.
The L. Jones Fund.
You'll provide the gratuity, is that what it is? Okay. Section 5, anticipated outcome. So I understand about the 2 million, one from us, one from you in a sense, right? You've indicated that the intention would be for the children's area, community room, all good. Then you move on in the second paragraph to a mention of an endowment. I am a great advocate of endowments, but generally, in my experience anyway, campaigns for endowments are subsequent to a completed capital campaign. And I perhaps you have a different view of that, any of the 3 of you, but if you could comment on that question. I'm a little concerned of muddling the 2, and that's my question.
Sure, I'd be happy to answer that initially, and Bill and David might want to add to this. Our initial campaign is simply going to be for the $1 million to match yours. It's not going to include any endowment. We anticipate that the foundation is going to be around forever. And as we move forward, one of the things the foundation is going to want to do in the future, after this campaign is complete, is to create endowment funds that can help the library in perpetuity. And we would do that typically through developing a program in plan giving, where we would ask individuals to leave something in a will or estate plan that would go toward a permanent endowment for the library. Totally separate from this campaign.
Yeah, that reassures me. I was hoping there would be a distinction there. And something you said, Peter, I'm sorry, did I catch you, either of you 2 on?
No.
Okay. In the last paragraph of section 5, mentioned, perhaps a permanent ED. Well, so to Peter's comment just a moment ago, could you foresee this person perhaps staying on after 2 or 3 years?
For sure.
Okay.
That would be the ideal. We would hope to hire someone who would want to be the executive director for a number of years, not just for this campaign. When you start to develop relationships with donors in a community, one of the best things for a nonprofit organization is to have continuity of your chief fundraising individual. That's a really strong statement about the organization. I was the head of the St. Paul Library Foundation for 25 years. And many of our board members felt that that was one of the reasons we were able to raise so much money, is that donors developed this sense of trust with someone who was around for the long haul.
Yeah, that inspires confidence, I believe. I'm glad to hear that also.
And that's why we were looking for a multi-year commitment for this salary, so that we could send that message to our potential applicants that we'd like you to be around for a long time.
Right. Yeah, I may be differing with Craig in perspective on that, because I would favor the 3-year term. But the last question. I'm now looking at the position description under qualifications. And unless I read it wrong or just missed it, I don't see any explicit reference to capital campaign experience, which strikes me as something missing.
Well, I guess what I can tell you is when I was hired for my position in St. Paul, I had never done a capital campaign. When you step into these organizations, you have people surrounding you, board members and steering committee members who have been there before. And the most important thing in hiring an executive director is someone who is well organized, who is articulate, who can meet with donors, who can talk about the mission of the organization. And from there, the logistics of a capital campaign are not that much different than regular fundraising. It's just a little bit higher goal. You have pledges that come in over multiple years, but the basic tenets of fundraising are pretty much the same as someone who's done individual fundraising for a number of years.
I would agree with you to a point, Peter, but there is something very distinctive in my mind about capital campaigns, at least in my career in the nonprofit field. And so, just speaking as one of the group of us, I'd prefer that there be some reference to capital campaigns under those qualifications.
Sure.
So that concludes my interrogation. Thank you very much for bearing with me.
No, we can certainly add that to the job description. That's not a problem.
Well, but I would add it, not as a mandate necessarily, because I hear your point too as well, Peter, but as a preferred qualification.
Yeah.
Yes.
Preferred but not required.
If
Yeah.
you look on the fourth bullet point under qualifications on page 2,
Yep.
demonstrated success in designing and leading major fundraising efforts. For example, capital campaign or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
to,
that-
just to
yeah, I
clarify,
think that would
just
be
to
enough.
put it out there.
Right. And then I have one more last question,
Go ahead.
because you were talking about the legacy awards, basically, or also endowments. I should know the answer to this question, Mr. Frazier, but I don't. Do we have an endowment?
The library right now? No,
We do not have any endowment whatsoever.
no, we don't.
Another reason to vote yes.
The trust is kind of an endowment.
But to do
He's always
that,
selling.
we need to increase the expectation of 2 to 3 million, you see. From
Oh, no, I knew that was gonna backfire.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, that was
Vote
great,
yes,
and thank you for all the questions, really clarified a lot of things, thank you. So, go ahead, Dr. Borba, if you want to make a motion.
Yeah, and listening to the other question, let me phrase the proposal in that I would say we give them the 2 years up front, and then after the year and a half, they come back for the 3rd year. If the job goes well, then they're going to get the 3rd year. And I think if we're going to hire somebody, I think they're going to be happy to get a 2-year commitment, because of the job market out there in the nonprofits is not easy, and there's a lot of turnover. And I think this also allows the trustees to say, we are watching our dollars. And I think that's the only reason why we're supposed to be on this trust, is to be watching those dollars. So I think it's conservative enough and yet liberal enough to help the foundation out to go out and hire somebody.
Okay.
So my motion is 2 years, plus come back in a year and a half for the following year.
I'll have a question.
Yeah, I did, Craig, and I understand what you're trying to get at, but the wording might be a little bit different, that it's for 2 years with the possible option of a 3rd year. For whatever candidates are looking at it, if they see that there is a possibility for a 3rd year, that would be an incentive in terms of the employment. If it's just a 2-year by itself, I'm a little uncomfortable like that. I go with David on that. I would cap 2 years, and I like years, but I would do it 2 years with an option of a 3rd year. Wording to that effect. Based
Okay,
upon.
and so if
Based
you're gonna
upon-
use that option, then the option is implemented when the foundation comes back after a year and a half and requests a 3rd year.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't mind that. It's just the wording of, that communicates to candidates that it is a 2-year with the option of a 3rd year based upon performance, or however we want to word it.
Correct.
Now, the internal thing is what they come back to us within a year and a half, asking us to fund them beyond It doesn't negate that at all.
You know, I have to say, my husband is a contractor and that's what most of his jobs are. And it is really important to him when someone comes and says, this is a 3-year job, or this is a 2-year. But he has taken jobs where it is a 2-year job and then possibly 4 years, right? Because a lot of times, you know, I mean, he feels pretty confident about it, but he does, he feels comfortable that he's gonna get those extra 2 years. But you're right, it does, you consider that when you're taking the job, right? If it's just a 1 year or 2 year or something like that. I agree, I think that we should definitely fund the first 2 years and then and tell that candidate, and, you know, it could be 3 years. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going back and asking for more money and.
Right. We may have it, we may not.
We'll have it.
So we'll have the Al Jones endowment at that point, so it matter.
Interesting hearing.
But would you accept that? Oh, I don't know if it's on or off. So would you accept that kind of as a friendly amendment to your motion then, Craig, which you were
Right,
forming?
so we're gonna state that, let me see if I can state it that everyone agrees. We're gonna make a 2-year commitment. At a 1.5 years, the foundation can come back and request an additional year of funding.
But again, you haven't captured the one part that I was really anxious, and that is what they're going to, I think it's important to have in here that it is a 2-year commitment with the possibility of a 3rd year based upon performance, is how I would word it. And that if the foundation wants to move forward with a 3rd year, they come to us within 18 months or in 18 months within the grant, something to that effect. It captures all the parts I think you're doing, plus kind of what we lean towards.
That's fine. That's
I
fine.
agree with Al.
David, I see your hand, David.
Yeah, I guess my concern would be.
It's going your way, so be careful.
No,
Don't rock the boat.
no, I'm not trying to rock the boat. I'm just trying to be realistic, that who is going to evaluate them? Is it, are you guys gonna evaluate them, or are we? And are you gonna trust us to evaluate them? I'm just worried about
Well, that was
having evaluation. and
right, but
what's
Peter
that gonna
answered
mean?
that question in terms of the evaluation, I thought too, is what the norm would be. I guess I'm not sure what he said at this
Well,
point.
David, yeah,
I think-
That's a
I'm
good
assuming
point.
the trustees will decide on whether it's gonna be funded the 3rd year, but you have been successful in receiving money from the trust up to this point. And I'm assuming if you by chance hired a candidate you weren't happy with, that you would go out and get another one to hire, and we would see that and approve it. But again, I don't know, I'm trying to be somewhat fiscally conservative here and not just giving the money out. So I can go along with Al's wording with the idea that, yes, you come back in 18 months and apply for the next year. Does that work out?
Yes, thank you. No, that captures what I'm saying. But in response to the question of that proposal, I guess 2 questions. I should know the one answer because I sit in all of your meetings. Do you have an executive committee?
Yeah.
I thought you did.
Yeah.
So
That's president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and if there is one, the immediate past president.
well, then what I would suggest is, since they have an executive committee, that the evaluation of the performance would be rest with the foundation. But we would add one more individual to that group, and that would be a representative from the trustees of the library.
Like the liaison could say.
Like a liaison, right,
Okay.
who becomes part of that process.
Al, do we have 2 liaisons or 1?
Well, we have 2. I've attended all the meetings.
Yes, I haven't attended one.
But we're just talking 1 liaison. We don't want to overload it, but I think it has to be that connection. To speak to your question, Craig, about are we using the money wisely? That's having a trustee as part of that evaluation process, I think would be important. And theoretically, the liaison, I've attended every meeting, for 2 years, and hopefully I'll get reappointed for another 3, I don't know.
Well,
David, can you come back to the trustees with that identified as your executive board for the purpose of evaluation?
yes,
Okay.
And we have one more comment or question.
Thank you, Juanita. You've been really eager to hear from Deborah on this whole topic. And you started a couple times and.
No, I have been a contractor, I've hired contractors, and my inclination is to go for the 3 years, but I understand the point. And I don't feel so strongly about it that I'm gonna jump up and down and disagree. I think the continuity is critical, and I think finding the right person might be a little bit of a struggle, and then finding one, you wanna keep them, and you want that 25-year relationship. So my vote would be for the 3 years, but on the other hand, I think having that leeway in there for the option would probably suffice.
Okay, oops. Okay, so if there's no further discussion or further questions, Dr. Borba, do you want to try that again?
Okay, that we approve a 2-year contract for a director of the foundation. And that after 18 months, the foundation would come back to make a request for an additional year added on to the 2 years.
Could I again make?
Sure, Al.
Well, I don't usually talk up in these meetings as much as probably I should, but no, I like everything you said. I would just reverse a couple of things. I would say that it's
Okay.
approved for 2 years with the option for a third based upon performance, at which point the foundation would come to the library trustees at the point of 18 months. I would put I just reverse it.
Fine, I'm okay with that. Do we have that somewhere written down? So when Jeannie gets back, she'll know what we voted on.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
they're recording everything we say.
Okay,
no escaping.
Yeah,
okay, so, all right.
it's exhausting.
So Dr. Borba has moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second, and I move the motion.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Al.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call. Craig Borba,
Yes,
Juanita Gardner,
Yes.
Al Jones,
Yes.
David Norgard,
Yes.
Deborah Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Once
We love
again.
you.
Yeah, but we don't expect to see you for another 18 months.
No more
raise
money.
Go raise money.
Dollars.
No, you've got enough.
Thank you,
of us.
thanks a million. Thank you very much.
okay.
Wonderful. Okay, and do we have any discussion or updates on our library renovation?
No,
No, not beyond what I had given about the community input meetings. That's the only update that I have to give.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we have dates for the next steering committee meeting where the architects lead us through?
No, I don't have any specific dates. I know that there was some discussion last Thursday, but no dates have been set. But you will probably hear something very soon.
Okay, thanks.
And I believe they're adding some people to the steering committee too, so that's part of the process.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to any, trustee have any future agenda items that you would like to discuss at the next meeting? No? Okay, that adjourns the library board of trustees meeting. We will meet again on May 1st at 5:30 p.m. Thank you, good night.
again, my apologies for being late.
Juanita,